Hey there, you looking kinda cute. Don't forget to subscribe and check out my other socials for more. Enjoy. I sat at my desk, staring blankly at the computer screen. The monotony of college coursework had begun to wear on me, and I felt an overwhelming urge to escape, if only for a few hours. My gaze drifted to the closet door, behind which lay a secret world, one that allowed me to shed the expectations and constraints of my everyday life. With a deep breath, I pushed back from the desk and strode to the closet. My hands trembled slightly as I reached for the hidden compartment at the back, retrieving a large duffel bag. The zipper seemed unnaturally loud in the quiet room as I opened it, revealing a treasure trove of silky fabrics, cosmetics, and a carefully styled wig. Time for Aaron to come out and play, I whispered to myself, a smile playing at the corners of my mouth. The transformation began slowly, almost reverently. I laid out each item with care: a skirt, bra, underwear, form-fitting black dress, and my prized possession: a luxurious faux fur coat in a rich chocolate brown. The coat had been an extravagant splurge, but every time I wore it, I felt like a Hollywood starlet from a bygone era. I took my time with the makeup, relishing each step of the process. Foundation to smooth out my skin tone, a touch of contouring to soften the angles of my face. I lined my eyes with a steady hand, adding a subtle wing at the corners for a touch of drama. A swipe of mascara made my lashes long and lush. Finally, I painted my lips a deep, sensuous red. The wig was the final touch, a cascade of chestnut waves that fell just past my shoulders. I adjusted it carefully, making sure the lace front was perfectly aligned with my natural hairline. As I gazed at my reflection in the full-length mirror, a thrill ran through me. Aaron stared back, confident and alluring. I gathered my things: a small purse with my wallet and phone, car keys, and a pack of cigarettes. The cigarettes were another indulgence I allowed myself only when I was Aaron. With a final glance around the room to ensure I hadn't forgotten anything, I slipped out the door and made my way to my car. The drive to the state park was uneventful, but I couldn't help feeling a surge of excitement every time I caught a glimpse of myself in the rearview mirror. At a stoplight, I touched up my lipstick, reveling in the simple, feminine gesture. About halfway to the park, I pulled into a small gas station with an attached convenience store. My heels clicked against the pavement as I made my way inside, head held high. The bored-looking cashier barely glanced up as I approached the counter. "Pack of Virginia Slims, please," I said, my voice pitched slightly higher than usual. The cashier reached behind him and grabbed the cigarettes, sliding them across the counter. "That'll be $8.50. I handed over a $10 bill, secretly thrilled at the normalcy of the transaction. As I waited for my change, I noticed a display of cheap costume jewelry near the register. On impulse, I pointed to a pair of dangly earrings with fake pearls. "I'll take those too, please." The cashier added them to my purchase without comment, and I left the store feeling positively giddy. In the car, I carefully put on the earrings, admiring how they complemented my outfit. The state park was quiet when I arrived, with only a few other cars in the parking lot. I chose a trail that wound through a grove of bare trees, their branches etched starkly against the pale winter sky. The crunch of gravel under my feet was oddly satisfying, and I found myself swinging my hips just a bit more than necessary, enjoying the feeling of the coat swishing around my legs. I'd been walking for about 20 minutes when I came across a small clearing with a wooden bench. Grateful for the chance to rest my feet, I was still getting used to walking in heels. I sat down and pulled out my cigarettes. The first drag was deeply satisfying, and I closed my eyes, savoring the moment. "Excuse me, do you mind if I join you?" I startled at the voice, nearly dropping my cigarette. A woman stood a few feet away, bundled up in a puffy jacket and knit hat. She looked to be in her early 30s, with kind eyes and a hesitant smile. "Of course not," I replied, gesturing to the empty space beside me. "Please, have a seat." The woman sat down, leaving a respectful distance between us. I hope I'm not bothering you. It's just nice to see another person out here. I was starting to feel a bit lonely. I smiled, feeling a mix of nerves and excitement at the prospect of conversation. Not at all. I'm Erin, by the way. Nice to meet you, Erin. I'm Monica. She glanced at my coat, her eyes widening slightly. I hope this isn't too forward, but I just have to say that coat is absolutely gorgeous. It looks so warm and luxurious. A warmth spread through my chest at the compliment. Thank you, it's my favorite piece. I don't get to wear it often, but when I do, it always makes me feel special. Monica nodded appreciatively. I can see why. It suits you perfectly. She paused, seeming to debate whether to continue. You know, I don't usually approach strangers like this, but there's something about you that just drew me in. You have this air of confidence and mystery. I felt a blush creeping up my cheeks, hidden thankfully by my makeup. That's very kind of you to say. To be honest, I don't usually do this either. Come out to parks alone, I mean. But sometimes you just need to get away, you know? Oh, I know exactly what you mean, Monica said with a laugh. I love my job, but some days the office walls start closing in and I just have to escape. Nature has a way of putting things in perspective. We fell into an easy conversation, discussing our jobs. I kept things vague, mentioning only that I worked in administration, our hobbies, and our favorite places to visit in the area. Monica was witty and charming, with a self-deprecating sense of humor that put me at ease. As we talked, I couldn't help but notice the way her eyes would occasionally flicker down to my lips or linger on the curve of my neck where it disappeared into the fur collar of my coat. There was a tension in the air, a subtle flirtation that both thrilled and terrified me. After what felt like only minutes but must have been close to an hour, Monica glanced at her watch and sighed. I hate to cut this short, but I should probably head back. I have a conference call in an hour. Of course, I said, trying to hide my disappointment. It was lovely meeting you, Monica. She stood, hesitating for a moment before pulling a small notebook and pen from her pocket. She scribbled something down, tore out the page, and handed it to me. Here's my number. If you ever want to meet up for coffee or another walk in the park, give me a call. I took the paper, my fingers brushing against hers. I'd like that, I said softly. Monica smiled, a hint of mischief in her eyes. Good, I look forward to seeing you and that fabulous coat again soon. As she walked away, I sat there for a few minutes, my heart racing. The encounter had been unexpected, but exhilarating. For a brief time, I had been seen and appreciated as Erin, not just as a costume or a character, but as a whole person. Eventually, the chill in the air forced me to move. I made my way back to my car, Monica's number tucked safely in my purse. The drive home was a blur of conflicting emotions, elation at the successful outing, anxiety about the potential complications of pursuing a friendship, or more, with Monica, and a lingering sadness that I would soon have to pack Erin away again. Back in my dorm room, I carefully removed my makeup and changed out of my feminine attire. As I was hanging up the fur coat, a knock at the door startled me. "Just a minute," I called out, quickly shoving the last of Erin's things into the duffel bag and stashing it in the closet. I opened the door to find my neighbor Amanda standing there with red-rimmed eyes and a forced smile. "Hey, sorry to bother you. I was just wondering if you had any plans tonight?" Concerned by her obvious distress, I shook my head. "No, nothing planned. Is everything okay?" Amanda's smile wavered. "It's my birthday today, and I was supposed to go out with some friends, but they all canceled last minute. I don't want to be alone tonight." My heart went out to her. I'd seen Amanda around the dorm, but had never really talked to her beyond polite greetings in the hallway. "That's terrible. Why don't you come in? We can order some food, watch a movie, whatever you want. No one should be alone on their birthday." Relief washed over Amanda's face. "Really? You don't mind?" "Not at all," I assured her, stepping back to let her in. "Make yourself comfortable. I'll grab my laptop and we can browse some delivery options." As Amanda settled onto my bed, I couldn't help but think about the contrast between this moment and my afternoon as Erin. Both experiences had been about connection, about being seen and accepted. And while part of me longed to slip back into Erin's confident persona, I realized that this, comforting a neighbor in need, was equally valuable. We spent the evening talking, laughing, and getting to know each other over pizza and cheap wine. As the night wore on, I found myself opening up to Amanda in a way I rarely did with anyone. While I didn't share the full extent of my double life, I did talk about my struggles with identity and belonging. "I think everyone feels that way sometimes," Amanda said thoughtfully, swirling the last of her wine in her glass. "Like we're playing a role, trying to fit into what we think the world expects of us. But nights like this remind me that it's okay to just be yourself, you know?" I nodded, feeling a lump form in my throat. "Yeah, I know exactly what you mean." As Amanda left that night, we hugged tightly, both of us a little emotional from the wine and the unexpected intimacy of the evening. "Thank you," she whispered. "This turned out to be one of the best birthdays I've had in a long time." Closing the door behind her, I leaned against it, feeling a complex mix of emotions. The day had been a roller coaster, from the excitement of embracing Erin to the quiet companionship with Amanda. Both experiences had left me feeling more connected, more authentically myself. I walked over to the closet, running my hand over the soft fur of the coat. Erin would always be a part of me, a way to explore and express aspects of myself that I struggled to show in my day-to-day life. But maybe, just maybe, I could find ways to bring some of Erin's confidence and openness into my regular interactions. As I got ready for bed, I made a mental note to text Amanda in the morning to make plans for coffee or lunch. And maybe, someday soon, I'd work up the courage to call the number Monica had given me. The thought both terrified and exhilarated me. Lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, I realized that today had been a turning point. Whether as Erin or as myself, I was starting to understand that the connections we make, fleeting or lasting, deep or superficial, are what give life its richness and meaning. With that comforting thought, I drifted off to sleep, dreaming of fur coats and friendly smiles, of park benches and late-night conversations. And in those dreams, the lines between my two selves began to blur, merging into something new, something whole. The next few weeks passed in a whirlwind of classes, study sessions, and an ever-deepening friendship with Amanda. We fell into an easy routine of shared meals and late-night talks, often joined by other dorm mates who were drawn to Amanda's warmth and infectious laugh. Despite the growing circle of friends, I found my thoughts often drifting to that afternoon in the park. The number Monica had given me remained tucked away in my desk drawer, a tantalizing possibility that I couldn't quite bring myself to act on. It was Amanda who finally gave me the push I needed. We were sprawled on my bed one evening, textbooks forgotten, as we shared stories from our pasts. I found myself telling her about my walk in the park, carefully editing out the details of my appearance as Erin. "So let me get this straight," Amanda said, sitting up and fixing me with an incredulous look. "A gorgeous, interesting woman gave you her number, practically begged you to call her, and you've done nothing about it for almost a month." I felt my cheeks flush. "It's complicated," I mumbled. Amanda's expression softened. "Look, I know you've got some stuff you're working through. We all do, but sometimes you've got to take a chance, you know? What's the worst that could happen?" The worst that could happen, of course, was that Monica would realize I wasn't the confident, put-together woman she'd met in the park. That she'd see through the carefully constructed facade of Erin and find me lacking. But I couldn't explain that to Amanda. "You're right," I said instead, forcing a smile. "Maybe I'll give her a call tomorrow." Amanda beamed. "That's the spirit. And hey, if it doesn't work out, you've always got me to fall back on," she added with a wink. The next day, I found myself staring at my phone, Monica's number pulled up on the screen. My thumb hovered over the call button, trembling slightly. Taking a deep breath, I pressed it before I could talk myself out of it again. The phone rang once, twice, 3 times. I was about to hang up when a familiar voice answered. "Hello." "Hi, Monica, this is Erin. We met in the park a few weeks ago." There was a pause, and for a heart-stopping moment, I thought she might not remember me. Then, "Erin, the woman with the amazing fur coat. I was beginning to think you'd forgotten about me." The warmth in her voice immediately put me at ease. "Never," I said, surprising myself with my boldness. "I've been thinking about you a lot, actually. I was wondering if you'd like to meet up sometime? Maybe for coffee?" "I'd love to," Monica replied, and I could hear the smile in her voice. "How about Saturday afternoon? There's a great little cafe near the park where we met." We made plans to meet, and as I hung up the phone, I felt a mix of excitement and terror. How was I going to pull this off? I couldn't show up as my everyday self. Monica was expecting Erin, the confident, stylish woman she'd met in the park. But maintaining that persona for an entire coffee date seemed daunting. The days leading up to Saturday were a blur of anxiety and anticipation. I obsessed over every detail of my outfit, practiced my makeup routine until I could do it in my sleep, and spent hours in front of the mirror perfecting Erin's mannerisms and speech patterns. When Saturday finally arrived, I began my transformation with shaking hands. The process was familiar by now, but each step felt weighted with significance. This wasn't just a quick outing or a private indulgence. This was a real date with real stakes. I opted for a more subdued look than my park outfit, a knee-length skirt in a deep burgundy paired with a cream-colored sweater and ankle boots. The fur coat, of course, was non-negotiable. I styled the wig into loose waves and kept my makeup natural, with just a hint of smoky shadow around my eyes. The drive to the cafe was a constant battle with my nerves. More than once, I considered turning around and going home, making up some excuse to cancel. But the memory of Monica's smile, the warmth in her voice when we spoke on the phone, kept me going. I arrived at the cafe a few minutes early, claiming a small table near the window. The wait for Monica to arrive was excruciating. I fidgeted with my coffee cup, smoothed non-existent wrinkles from my skirt, and checked my reflection in the window more times than I care to admit. And then, suddenly, she was there. Monica walked through the door, scanning the cafe until her eyes landed on me. Her face lit up with a smile that made my heart skip a beat. "Erin," she said warmly as she approached the table. "It's so good to see you again." I stood to greet her, and we shared a brief, slightly awkward hug. As we sat down, I noticed Monica giving me an appreciative once-over. "You look lovely," she said, though I have to admit, I'm a little disappointed not to see the famous coat. I laughed, some of my tension easing. "Well, I couldn't very well wear it inside without looking like I was trying too hard, could I?" Monica's eyes twinkled with amusement. "I suppose not, though I wouldn't have complained." The conversation flowed easily from there. We talked about our jobs. I'd prepared a detailed backstory for Erin, complete with a fictitious office and coworkers, our hobbies, our dreams for the future. Monica was even more charming than I remembered. Intelligent, witty, with a passion for life that was infectious. As we talked, I found myself relaxing into Erin's persona. It wasn't so much a performance as it was allowing a different facet of my personality to shine through. Erin was still me, just more. More confident, more open, more willing to take risks. Before I knew it, hours had passed. The cafe was beginning to fill up with the dinner crowd, and our coffee cups had long since been emptied. Monica glanced at her watch, looking surprised. "I can't believe how late it's gotten. I hate to say it, but I should probably get going soon. I have an early meeting tomorrow." Disappointment washed over me, but I nodded, understanding. "Of course. This was lovely, though. Thank you for meeting me." Monica hesitated, then reached across the table to take my hand. "Erin, I've really enjoyed getting to know you. Would you like to do this again sometime? Maybe dinner next week?" My heart raced at her touch, at the hopeful look in her eyes. This was the moment of truth. Did I dare to continue this charade? To build a relationship on a foundation of half-truths and carefully constructed illusions? But looking into Monica's eyes, feeling the warmth of her hand in mine, I knew I couldn't let this go. Not yet. "I'd love to," I heard myself say. Monica's smile was radiant. "Wonderful. I'll call you to set it up." We said our goodbyes outside the cafe, sharing another hug that lingered just a bit longer than strictly necessary. As I watched Monica walk away, a complex mix of emotions swirled within me: excitement, guilt, fear, and something that felt dangerously close to falling in love. The drive home was a blur of conflicting thoughts. Part of me was elated at how well the date had gone, at the prospect of seeing Monica again. But another part was terrified of the web of lies I was weaving, of the inevitable moment when the truth would come out. Back in my dorm room, I carefully removed my makeup and changed back into my everyday clothes. As I hung up the fur coat, my gaze fell on a framed photo on my desk, a group shot of me with Amanda and some of our other friends from the dorm. The contrast between the two parts of my life had never felt so stark. On one side, Erin glamorous, confident, embarking on a promising romance. On the other, my everyday self, still figuring things out, surrounded by friends who knew and accepted me, flaws and all. A knock at the door interrupted my brooding. It was Amanda, holding a bag of takeout and wearing a mischievous grin. "Spill," she said as she breezed past me into the room. "I want to hear everything about your date." As we settled onto my bed, sharing cartons of Chinese food, I found myself telling Amanda a carefully edited version of my afternoon with Monica. I left out the details of my appearance, focusing instead on the connection we'd shared, the easy conversation, the promise of future dates. Amanda listened attentively, her eyes shining with excitement for me. "She sounds amazing," she said when I'd finished. "I'm so glad you took the chance and called her." I nodded, feeling a lump form in my throat. Amanda's unconditional support, her genuine happiness for me, made the weight of my deception feel even heavier. "Hey," Amanda said softly, noticing my change in mood. "What's wrong? Did something happen that you're not telling me?" I shook my head, forcing a smile. "No, nothing's wrong. It's just a lot, you know? Starting something new, opening yourself up to someone. It's exciting, but it's scary too." Amanda wrapped an arm around my shoulders, pulling me into a side hug.
"I get it, but you deserve to be happy, to find someone who appreciates you for exactly who you are. And from what you've told me, it sounds like Monica might be that person." If only she knew the whole truth, I thought. But I leaned into Amanda's embrace, grateful for her friendship, for this moment of genuine connection amidst the confusion of my double life. As Amanda left that night, promising to help me plan my outfit for my dinner date with Monica, I was struck by a bittersweet realization. In trying to find acceptance and love as Erin, I'd somehow found it here in my everyday life, with friends like Amanda who saw and valued me as I truly was. The question now was, could I find a way to bridge these two worlds? To bring the confidence and self-assurance of Erin into my regular life, while also allowing Monica to see the real person behind the carefully constructed facade? I didn't have the answers yet, but as I drifted off to sleep that night, I made a promise to myself. Somehow, some way, I would find a path forward that allowed me to be true to all parts of myself. Erin, my everyday self, and whatever new identity might emerge from the intersection of the two. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out my other socials if you want more wonderful content, early access, behind the scenes, and more. All links down below.